Ready to get the inside scoop on equity funding? Tune into TDJ Equity Funding Insiders Podcast for an in-depth look at what it takes to access financial capital and maximize your investments. Hear from experienced professionals, including bankers, underwriters, loan officers, and industry experts as they share their unfiltered stories and valuable lessons on securing funds.
Welcome back to another episode of the TDJ Equity Funding Insiders Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, co-host joining us, who brings a wealth of knowledge and experience in the realm of conflict resolution. Meet Dana Garnett, the founder and owner of Minefield Strategy. Dana is a seasoned mediator and conflict strategist with a deep passion for helping business owners and professionals navigate the complex landscape of interpersonal and organization conflicts. With her expertise, Dana has guided countless clients toward peaceful and productive resolutions, ensuring their businesses thrive even in the face of disputes. As you all know, we are a funding company, and we wind up seeing a lot of this at the closing table, the conflicts that the owners have with each other, the partners that they have. So our team felt it was very important to bring someone on like Dana to come in and talk to us about dealing with conflict in our business and things of that nature. So it is an absolute pleasure to have her with us today. I want to welcome you, Dana, to our podcast.
Thank you, Jackie. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. And I just want to say how much I appreciate what you do for your clients in helping to save them unnecessary angst at any point along the road in working with you.
Well, thank you. And that is what we're about, trying to deal with the pain of what our clients come, because, getting money in the first place is painful. Me and you talked about that. We've talked about this before. You come to get money when you don't actually, you come when you need it.
Yeah.
So the same thing with you, with what you deal with, is when they come to you, like me, is maybe a little bit too late. So we want to start off with you explaining that. Let's go into where you can explain what mediation is and how it differs from other forms of conflict resolutions like the arbitration and the litigation.
Sure, absolutely. And before I go there, just to say that what I do for my clients, I help free them from anxiety and give them a whole new lease on their business and their life. Oh, wow. And these clients are business owners who are in conflict with each other. And the mindful strategy piece is a really simple process that helps them get to the heart of things quickly, clear the deepest triggers fast, and neutralize that situation so that they strengthen those relationships and not sever them. So when we're talking about conflict, like you just said, too often people come to me very late. Everything's boiled up and they're trying to put out a fire. And so, and I get that. It's like, why don't people get cyber security insurance? That kind of thing.
Before you need it.
Why don't they, get with you before, they need it or me?
Right.
So going back to what you asked, litigation, arbitration, and mediation.
Okay.
So kind of a basic definition. Litigation involves parties that are they've filed a lawsuit against each other.
Okay.
Okay. And you can have legal representation attorneys for each party, or you might be pro se. You decide to go this on your own and you don't have to have attorneys, but that's the choice of the parties. But that said, litigation has basically three ways of resolving, I'm going to put that in quotes, resolving the conflict.
All right.
Either you settle, or the judge tells you what's going to happen, okay. Or you go to a trial, and there's, trial by jury. So arbitration, on the other hand, is where a neutral professional, called an arbitrator, will listen to all the parties involved in a case. And it doesn't have to be something necessarily filed, but they listen to this case. It helps save from litigation, actually. And the arbitrator decides the outcome.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
And that's a legal binding document or contract. Mediation is also having a neutral professional to work with the parties, but they are there to guide the parties through a process that helps them get down to their own ideas and their own terms for the agreement.
Okay.
So, like for example, a mediator does not advise. Guides the process.
Gotcha.
To lead the parties to what can become a mediated settlement agreement. And in that process, just as a comment about advising, some people will think the mediator can give them legal advice, and mediation ethics actually preclude that. Even if you're an attorney, or whether you're an attorney or not, you can be a mediator, either way, but you are not to give legal advice. So parties who come pro se to a mediation, they need to be able to get their own legal information elsewhere.
Okay.
And I will say on the outset, if you're in a serious conflict situation involving your business or your life in some way, where, yes, pro se is a way to go, but you just might need legal advice, and I say get it. That's why attorneys are there.
Right.
You need that advice, but I will say you don't need to lawyer up. So I'll say it again. You may need legal advice, so I say get it, right? That's what attorneys are for. But I would highly recommend you don't lawyer up. That's what takes you down that slippery slope of litigation, costly, and I will say that mediation, as I mentioned earlier, settlement's an option for litigation to end. When you mediate in a court case, the problem, and I love mediation, I'm a mediator and I do it all the time, but what I see is mediation comes way too late in the legal process.
Okay.
And the mediated settlement agreement that you walk away with is usually something that not everybody got what they wanted.
It's more of you settle. You got to take it.
You settle, yeah. But it is not real resolution.
I could see that.
So I'm sitting there with parties wishing I could have helped them way before they even got to this place. So mediation has its place, and it's good to have that because it is the only, between mediation, arbitration, and litigation, it's the only thing where the clients have complete control of their destiny.
Oh, wow.
They get to decide if they're going to sign that agreement or not, because that's also binding by law.
Okay.
Now, because settlement in mediation is not real resolution, what I started doing years ago is seeing how can I help people, particularly business owners, to not even get to mediation that's way down the pike and walking away with something that they're still not happy with, and all that disgruntledness and that resentment and maybe leftover anger stays with you.
Oh, wow.
And in the world of health and well-being, whenever you have that state, if you will, and you're not over it, that's basically stress churning under the radar all the time.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And stress is basically a form of dis-ease. It's the opposite of ease. And what does dis-ease become over time? Disease.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Right? So you don't want conflict to just get settled. You want to really resolve it, so you don't suffer the health challenges down the road. Seriously.
And so, again, you saying something we want to talk about in the show this earlier, and that's why we got you here, because you know how to cover every basis of everything. But something that you said, that when it comes to that conflict, that I think, like I said, they come and they don't have that at the time they need it, it's going to be more detrimental for them in the long term. Now, let me show you how it works with us. When we have a person come in and they have a partnership,
right,
and they haven't dealt with any unresolved issues. Now, we don't know what it is. We're loan brokers. You're bringing everything. You're bringing all the documents. You're bringing all the papers.
Right.
But what happened, we have found eventually, someone doesn't want to do what you thought they wanted to do, and you're in a mid run of an application process for $1.5 million. This is my thing. You don't want to find that out in the process of you getting a loan, that you have some unresolved conflicts that is going to affect your business. This is why we have Dana to come on so you all can see what she has and what's going on, because it does affect you when it comes to getting funding if you haven't dealt with it. So the part that we're going to talk more that you hadn't mentioned is about the part before now I know she's a mediator. We got you down as a mediator and conflict strategy. We know that, okay? She's that. But before we go there, let's learn, hopefully you all can pick up the part she's going to tell you before you get to mediation. Because like she said, she cannot guide you anyway. But before that, she can't if you come to her before you go toward that litigation. So if you would talk more on what happens before reason you prevent.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's so possible to resolve any kind of complex conflict, even if you're a family business, for example, and it's conflict or complex generational conflict. If you actually really want to resolve it, you can do that early on and never have to even think about mediation or arbitration or a lawsuit. So this is why I started working with clients one-on-one and doing workshops with companies years ago, because I was seeing in mediation, I wish I could impart these conflict resolution skills to these parties to the process, but that's not the place for it. Mediation is not a teaching opportunity.
No, it's not. You're right.
But what if I could teach business owners to understand how to clear whatever's been going on, clear those deepest issues. And then at the same time, we're doing that, imparting skills or up-leveling basically their communication skills.
Right.
So that down the road, when new stuff comes up, and it's going to,
yes, ma'am,
they know how to dance with it. Because anytime humans interact, conflict exists. So it's not about trying to avoid conflict. You just are trying to avoid unnecessary escalation of conflict.
Gotcha.
And so and Jackie, one of the big things about this is we're not taught this in school.
No, ma'am.
And this extends beyond business. Just people, humans interacting with each other. If we actually had any clue how easy it is to connect with somebody on a different level and not have all this blow up and become a very expensive,
timely process. So let me say
process.
this, not breaking you off. But
You're
saying it's okay to disagree.
Oh, totally.
And that's what I think we're so emotional. And the thing is, I don't know what make us think that we emotional is business, it's personal. I don't know why we think once we start a business, we're not going to be emotional anymore. Yes, you are.
Oh, it's all about emotion. It's all about emotion. Yeah, we put business on the front of it and think we're not supposed to be emotional.
Yeah.
It's only emotional.
And I think what's great, and that's why I like you being here, and I really encourage that our business owners reach out to you or someone like her, because you have somebody that's outside, that's professional, and know how conflict resolution should look. If you're an owner of a daycare, that is not your job. You don't know how to deal with it, but guess how much conflict you have? Parents, you have your workers, you have your other managers. So if you don't have that skills, guys, it's okay. It's okay if you don't have it. Get the skill. Get skilled. And that's where you're going to come in and you can help them. Because, I'll be honest, guys, I wanted her to talk about mediation and how you handle it and how you meet with them and when you go to court and all this stuff. And she said, no. If I can, Jackie, I want to talk to them before they get there. Because that's the major problem that can be resolved. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
And so
that's it.
She's running my podcast, guys, today. And that's okay. I'm going to let her run it because she's correct and she knows what she's talking about. So with us dealing with that kind of conflict, what is the type of conflict you see majority that's like in business?
Sure, exactly. Well, and thank you for all that. I want to get the message out.
Yes.
So one of the things I see in businesses is a clash of what we call business strategy or operational values.
Explain that a little bit. Give me an example.
Just like, which direction is the business going to go? What kind of campaign are we going to run? Oh, I don't agree with that. I think our market should be this. No, I think we should be spending more on advertising here. I think we need to bring on this person. I don't think we need that person. I mean, just general strategy and how to run the company.
Right.
A second thing that I often see is feelings of unfairness. Perhaps you've got partners, 2 or more, that feel like maybe somebody's not pulling their weight. right? Like,
Okay.
they're in equal share, but not everybody's pulling their weight.
They're not doing their part.
Not doing their part. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And then another one, a famous one, is rivalry and succession. Doesn't have to be a family business necessarily, but sibling rivalry, or people are, competing for that next top position.
Right.
Or who's going to take over the business. And the challenge is here, you may have a business partnership agreement, which I call a business prenup.
Okay.
Right? And it's all written down on paper.
Right.
But just like you could have a mediated settlement agreement all written down on paper, not everybody may have really fully been aligned with that partnership agreement emotionally.
And I haven't thought of that.
At the time
You're
it was
right.
signed.
Exactly. And you know what? And when they're not emotionally attached, when we can find out you're not emotionally attached to whatever the agreement was, the process of getting money.
Thank you.
We find that out real quick that she realized, I don't think I want us to get this much. I thought we could get, I had one client, I'm serious. She said, I thought we were getting 400,000. What do you mean we're qualified for 1.9 million? Well, the other partners say, well, hey, we're growing. We're finna go to Colorado. We're finna buy this, and that. I think it'll be great. Do you know she did not go, but she was 50%.
Oh.
We were all like, are you serious? So like you said, he didn't think it was a problem. He said, I knew how she was. I knew how Miss Linda did things, but I didn't think she would come to this point, because that's why we said resolution before they got there. You need that. So I think this, and you tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Anybody that has a partnership in business, I think they should make an appointment to at least meet with you.
Oh my, I cannot think how many times I have said, I wish there was a requirement.
Yeah.
Some kind of a requirement for people to have to go through a conflict management skills, training before you get into partnership. It goes back to insurance, right?
Right.
We insure our companies for theft and liability and the storms of Mother Nature, but do we ever think about preventing our business from the storms of human nature?
Wow.
Seriously.
That says a lot.
Because when humans interact, there's conflict.
Always.
How do you keep those emotional storms from blowing things up, But the thing is, people get insurance for their car because they have to. It's the law, right?
Regulated.
Liability insurance. But cyber, no.
Regulated.
Exactly.
You got to do it.
And so any other kind of agreement, so I know I can't enforce that, but
we strongly recommend
right.
That, and I think even with my being in certain business, I haven't had a conflict resolution with someone. I hadn't went through the process as you say, but I have been through dealing with other mediation type things, and I can actually see how having you in the beginning, of my business, just to learn it. And I'm gonna tell you something else that I thought of while you were just talking, because I have business clients. I have clients that have problem with people underneath them, the management. And I just realized that's a conflict. You need to talk to a conflict resolution to show you how to handle it. Because you know what? As an owner of a business, we don't know if we crazy as ketchup. You just don't know you are. Everybody else know you are, but you don't know. So if you have a conflict, I think when you're coming in, you can actually work on that part that helped them to be the type of leader they need. Because conflict is going to come, but we do not take a class for conflict resolution. We
don't. And sadly, it's costly when we don't have those skills. It's costly.
It is.
Time, money, wasted. We make poor decisions when we are conflicted because we don't see the big picture. We don't have the fresh perspective.
That's true.
That is one of the big problems with that. Missed opportunities.
Right.
And let me tell you what, your clients pick up on the vibe. When you guys are not in harmony with each other, and I'm not talking verbally, I'm talking, they just know.
Right.
And going back to that example you used, the gentleman that thought he knew his partner.
Right.
We think a lot about what we think we know, but until you actually work through things, you don't know. And and honestly, what I have found 9 times out of 10, what the heart of that issue is when you get down to it, and it's easy to get to it fast, but when you do get down to it, everyone's surprised. Like, I didn't know that was the problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
At TDJ Equity Funding, we understand the challenges you face. Whether you're expanding your business, investing in real estate, or launching a startup, we've got your back. Our expert team of loan brokers is dedicated to helping you secure the funding you need, hassle-free. Imagine a future where your business thrives, where opportunities are endless and working capital has made a great difference in your business. TDJ Equity Funding can make it happen. Booking an appointment with us is easy as pie. Just visit our website at www.tdjequityllc.net and take the first step towards your financial success. Don't let your dreams gather dust on the shelf. Seize the opportunity today. Visit www.tdjequityllc.net and schedule your appointment with TDJ Equity Funding. Let's turn your dreams into dollars.
Welcome to Frameworks Consortium, your partner for sustainable business success. Frameworks Consortium is your strategic guide, providing you with clear, actionable roadmaps to achieve your business goals. Our team of seasoned strategists provides expert guidance, ensuring you make informed decisions with clarity and confidence. We develop customized solutions that align with your unique business objectives, fostering growth and resilience in an ever-changing business environment. Connect with us today and harness the power of strategic planning for your business.
What do you think? What are some of the key strategies you think business owners can help with the partner conflict thing?
Sure. And I love that question because I could say, oh, do this, this, and this, right? However, that's going to, and with all due respect, that's going to fall on deaf ears, or are they going to think they know what to do now for themselves before they really understand three key strategies? Okay. And these are in the form of questions. Number one, do you really want to resolve this situation? And again, with due respect, or is it lip service?
So you're basically saying, ask yourself some questions before we start.
Do you read? Yes. And I'm like, these are the questions I ask people before I even work with them.
Okay.
Do you really want to resolve this? Okay.
That's true.
And because if you're just complaining and saying, I just want to put a Band-Aid on this and fix this so we can move on, but you're not really wanting to really get this cleared, then I can't help you because you're not going to do what's necessary.
And not going to be committed to it.
Exactly. And the second point is, are you open to doing something different so you actually get a different result? It goes back to that definition of insanity. We've been spinning for years. My partner does this, my partner does that, doesn't see it the way I do. Well, have you tried something different? And if you haven't, then you're not going to get a different result. And sadly, the decisions we've been making up to this point in our life or in our business, we are where we are because of those decisions.
Exactly.
But if you're open to trying something different, you're going to get a different result.
And we have to be open for something different. And business owners, we usually don't be open for different. And you're right, that can add to the conflict. Okay.
Exactly. And that goes back to your point about commitment. Okay. If you really want to get it resolved and you are open to doing something different, doing what's necessary, and you're committed to that, to up-leveling your...
Is that like the number 3, what you said?
That's number 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, those 3 things, before you even talk about strategy, that's the big picture strategy. Making sure you really want to get this done. Once you've got that, if yes, so to those 3 things, yay. Then the 3 things I want to make sure people understand is strategically, it only takes one person to shift the entire dynamics of a conflict. So let's say you and your partner are at odds with each other about something, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. But your partner has told you, please don't put me in front of somebody to try to work this out. I do not want to sit around the table and try to work this out. Maybe they're so upset, right?
Right.
That's okay. You don't need everybody around the table. If you're the one who really wants to resolve it and you're open to what it takes and you're committed to put that time in, and we're talking over a month or 2, you can get this thing resolved.
Now you're saying, wait, are you saying that you can work with just me and we still...
Yes.
That's new. Because I thought whoever I have a problem with in management or whatever, then they have to be there and we got to work this out with you.
Right. And let me this goes back to mediation.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. This goes back to mediation. In mediation, let's say it's a court-ordered case, right? And they order mediation.
Okay.
When people are told by the judge, you've got to go to mediation, nobody wants to be there. Who wants to be told you got to work things out? So therein lies the challenge to even getting to a decent mediated settlement agreement to start. Okay. So if your partner does not want to work with you, that's okay. But if you really want to resolve things, you can do it on your own. Yeah. It just takes one person to shift the entire dynamics. And I'm proof, by the way. I went through a life crisis, discovered all of this. I became a mediator because of my own situation in life.
Okay.
And did a huge dive into the neuroscience of conflict. And when I picked up on all these skills and everything and lived through it myself and turned around things and got completely over, it was a huge divorce that involved some business properties with my now ex-husband. Today, we get along great. We go on vacations with our kids. I mean, we have no issue.
But you did that with you.
Yeah, I did. So I saw it and what he has done or not done in his life to work things through for himself, that's not for me to judge. Wow. And what I discovered was just by shifting my own perspective and changing from within, it changed everything. And it gave our children at that time and now in life such relief. You know, we can get together for anything. Weddings, funerals, graduations, holidays, you name it. Our kids aren't going, oh my God, please, Mom, Dad, don't blow up again. No, that never happens. And I don't mean that surreptitiously. I'm just saying it's real. And so when I started working with clients, I discovered I can teach them how to do this. I can actually help you
by themselves without the partner.
Because what happens when you've got this going on, right? People are clashing.
Right.
The other person learns how to show up differently. This goes away, and there's nothing to hit on. That's why I say you get to the heart of it fast.
That's a good one.
Clear the deepest triggers, which neutralizes the situation and strengthens those relationships. And your partner may never even know you got help. If you want to tell them, that's fine. Hey, if your partner's on board and wants to work with you on it, please, let's do it.
Right.
But it does not require that. So that's that. Once you are open to it and all that kind of stuff, that's one big thing I want people to know. Another one is that in the process, if you are the only person, or if you are working together, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I start with putting you first. And what sounds like it's counterintuitive, but people always say, put yourself in the other person's shoes. Yeah, we get to that at some point. But no one's going to want to do that unless they really value it, like they feel like I'm most important. And putting yourself first is what we do first. And I help people to see why it's so important to resolve this conflict. Because at the end of the day, when we develop all these skills, understanding how to do this effectively is self-preservation. It goes back to that dis-ease.
Right.
And not having a stroke midlife. I've seen it happen, you know.
Right, right. It's real. It's real.
Yeah, and not dying before we need to. I'm serious. This, conflict is a killer.
It can eat you up. It can eat you up. And that's why I think it's so wonderful. And I was so happy. My team, when they was putting everything together to bring you on, we were all just having our little conference and conversation about you. And we just looked at how it relates to our client base, so who we have. We deal with business owners and real estate investors. Real estate investors, we found out, they seem to be, you would think it's business owners, but I think real estate investors are the most frustrated group. Because the information they get is not right. And it's always a conflict because guess what? You conflicting with the contractors. You conflicting with the bank.
Right.
You conflicting with the people that coming out to do, partners and stuff like that. And they don't know you need to get some type of help. And that's why the girls were saying, the other day, like, man, they need to reach out to Dana.
Yeah. Oh, life could be so much easier. And in fact, that's one of my mission in life is actually to help people manage their lives with greater ease.
Right.
And because a big mantra of mine is happiness is not getting to a place in life with everything's okay and there's no more problem to solve. That's not realistic, right? Happiness is knowing whatever life throws you, you can handle it.
Exactly. Exactly.
And this stuff we're not taught in school, I figured someone's got to get out there and try to, help people sooner than later.
And I think as business owners, I'm being honest, we just don't think about that. Like you said, but I can see bringing, and let me say this, because it's coming to me as you talk, that you're dealing with people with different personalities and backgrounds when you come to your office, when you come to a business and you hiring people and all of that. And everybody do good during their interview and they do good for the next 4 or 5 months or whatever. But when conflict happens, you see a whole different how people deal. And I think with you, and I think we talked about it a little bit, you'll work with people before the conflict, but you'll show them how to deal with it, but also how to notice other things around before it get there.
Right.
That's why I think they should get with you, because that's a good factor as a business owner that you training me where, you know, you need to see where something is warm. Because you said it's not, the conflict is going to happen. You said, don't try to get rid of conflict.
Yeah.
We just don't want it to escalate.
Exactly.
Right. And that's what,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. This is kind of, I've had a client say this to me, that 2 of her employees were into it, you know, and she said, you know, I'm not going to get into it. They're going to have to work that out. I said, I don't know how wrong or right, but I think that's wrong. You're the manager. Something need to be said. But she's like, well, no, they can do that on their own time, work that. But shit, that something need to be, you know.
Yeah, I guess what I would say is, what is it costing you in the business?
Because she
to not help intervene and provide your employees or your associates the knowledge of how to work
messing up on some of the work because of this conflict, and they don't want to talk to each other, so they was half doing the work, so they wouldn't speak. But you got to speak because you're not as you're not as productive, you're not as effective. Again, poor decision making. I'm going to avoid this person, so I'm going to avoid doing this, and then the team shows up for the meeting. And it's like, why isn't this done yet? Well, and that's what they run into. You are correct. Look at that. You didn't even talk to them, but you know what you're talking about. And that's exactly what she did say. There was a problem. I didn't think of it like that.
And let me tell you what, on behalf of that manager, okay, there's a beautiful quote by Maya Angelou, which is, everyone does the best they can with what they know at the time. If we knew better, we'd do better.
Right.
So no judgment, no blame on anybody that hasn't considered getting involved to help their associates or their employees, right? But once you hear about the opportunity to, you know, maybe there's a chance to bring in some training for your team. You know,
so
if you see that these two people, I get a lot of calls from people saying, you know, I've got this issue with these people, but I don't want to put a spotlight on it and make it look like I'm kind of, you know, calling them out by bringing somebody in just for them. Okay. You know, what can I do? I'll say, well, you can have a team. We can do team workshops, team training. So everybody, you know, part of maybe you have a well-being program, or you've got, you know, training and development. You can bring in conflict management training like that allows everybody to get the same thing. Okay. Because if everybody knows how to do this, then it just up levels everybody's skills.
Exactly. So, oh, wow. Yep. So basically, like I said, I know we as business owners, we just do things because we don't know. So I do appreciate you coming in and bringing that in. So if we could, before we end, can you give us any last information that you would like the listeners to know before we leave?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, you know, we talked out in preparing for this about emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And I just want to say how critically important that is, because without understanding emotional intelligence, you will not solve anything. Because we said earlier, it goes back to emotion.
It does.
And until you understand and you really appreciate the physiological effect of stress and how stress affects our emotions affects our mental capacity. Mm-hmm. And then our mental capacity, if it's stressed out for so long, so we start feeling bad, the back starts to ache, and the neck starts to ache, and then we get diseases. Then we're so unhappy, you know, it's miserable for everybody, you know. So understanding emotional intelligence is key, and that's, I mean, a lot of my work is based in the neuroscience of conflict, and that's how I learned all this myself. So, and you will live longer. You will live longer and have a happier life if you understand that. If you are in conflict with your partner, I would highly recommend get help. Get help. Don't wait, and you don't have to wait for your partner to, you know, want to work this out with you if they don't want to. That's okay. Right. You know, and I would also say, because business owners, I appreciate as leaders, they feel like they know enough. They don't need certain, skills or anything new to try to work out things in their organization. But I would highly recommend don't go it alone. There's too much writing on your business to not resolve things. Again, what's it costing you not to resolve things? Nip things in the bud before they blow up.
Right.
And I base that on a very golden rule, if you will, for mediators. We are trained and taught: do not mediate your own family. And if your family's your business, I'm not saying you have to be related. You could be.
Right.
But when you work together as much as you do, it's like a family. So mediators, I don't try to mediate my family. Why? You may be the greatest negotiator. You might know everything about working things out with people, but everybody else can't see you as objective.
Right.
That's the challenge.
So you need to have somebody to come in and professionally help.
Yeah, you have your expertise. You have yours. I have mine. My sweet spot is high stakes, high emotion conflict, and getting it resolved quickly and helping people really avoid all those pitfalls that could happen down the road.
And get back to business, to making money.
Exactly. Oh, and one other thing, even if you're of different cultures, from around the world, it doesn't matter, right? The beautiful thing, going back to emotional intelligence, because we are all humanly wired the same way, and the mindful strategy process that I use particularly, it cuts through cultural differences.
Okay.
Because we all have universal needs to be understood, to be heard, to be seen for who we are, and respect. Okay. And so that, that's why I say it's possible no matter the circumstances to resolve things.
And that's what we have to know as business owners, that we can.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming, and thank you for doing the recap and takeaway, because that's basically what it was, and it was great. So I want to thank you for doing that, for coming, and hopefully you can come back and visit with us again.
Would love to. Thank you, Jackie. This has been fun. I've really enjoyed this.
I love this stuff. So, and to my listeners, I want to thank you all for coming and being a part of our podcast listening group. If this information, as well as any information we've given you, is important, you can go to our website. Now, on our website, we do have Dana will be there. That's linked, where you all can link up with her, get an appointment with her, and see her, okay? She's open for it, and she's looking forward for you guys to touch her. So, to reach out to her. So, if you want to learn more and be a part of our group and stay in contact with us, log on to our website at www.tdjequityllc.net. Until next time, thank you and take care.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of TDJ Equity Funding Insiders Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest or get in touch with us, please visit our website at tdjequityllc.net/podcast or email us at podcast@tdjequityfundinginsiders.net. Until next time, take care.